A video released by Advocate Children's Hospital in Illinois reports that an 11-month-old infant has returned to her family in Africa after undergoing surgery to remove 2 extra legs and a spine from her parasitic conjoined twin. The surgical team meticulously prepared for the operation, utilizing examinations, x-rays, and a 3D model of her spine. Over 6 hours, they made a careful incision to remove an additional pelvis, along with legs, feet, and tiny toes protruding from her neck and back. Dr. John Rouge, director of pediatric neurosurgery at Advocate Children's Hospital near Chicago, explained that Dominique had been carrying her parasitic twin since birth. It's as if the parasitic twin dove into Dominique's body and almost made it in, except for the waist out. Doctors note that parasitic twins, which are asymmetric conjoined twins reliant on the other's bodily functions, are extremely rare. Even rarer are parasitic rack twins, identical twins joined at the spine. Dr. Rouge stated that fewer than 30 documented cases exist in medical literature, often referred to by the names of the patients. This case would be known as Dominique from Chicago. Dominique, a 10-month-old girl from the Ivory Coast in West Africa, traveled more than 5,000 miles in February to Chicago to undergo surgery at Advocate Children's Hospital to remove her parasitic twin. Dominique's last name has not been disclosed. Doctors stated that if she did not have the surgery, her heart and lungs would struggle to sustain the extra limbs, causing strain that could shorten her life. A large number of volunteers were needed to make all this possible. According to Advocate Children's Hospital, Dominique's trip to the United States was made possible by Children's Medical Mission West, a nonprofit organization headquartered in Ohio. From the Ivory Coast, she was accompanied by flight attendants. On February 5th, she arrived in Chicago, where she was met by a host family who would take her in and care for her during her stay. Nicole's mother, Nancy Schwab from Chicago, wrote on Facebook that Dominique traveled halfway around the world with only a small bag containing a few pairs of pajamas, diapers, a bottle, and powdered formula called Nursey, which she also used as a sippy cup, along with a rosary and a piece of beautiful fabric that she wrapped around her shoulders for a photo at Abidjan airport before bidding farewell to her beloved baby for 2 long months. Dominique was jet-lagged and exhausted on the first evening, says the narrator. The Ivory Coast is 6 hours ahead of Chicago. Dominique's cheerful personality, on the other hand, was on full joyous display the following morning. Dominique's image had been shared on Facebook by Children's Medical Mission West, and Schwab recognized her. Schwab decided to adopt the little girl's case and pay all the expenses of the trip to Chicago, in addition to hosting her in her home until her surgery. Her family had abandoned her at the airport as they were unable to accompany her on the trip. In the caption of the photo, which showed Dominique appearing to be seated on her mother's lap, it was written, "Needing a home in the Chicago area for a baby girl due February 5th. She will remain in the United States for a period of 2 months. Please let me know if you're interested or if you know of anyone who would be willing to host this child." It really spoke to me. Schwab, who lives with her husband Tim and their 2 adopted daughters, said of the post, "All we wanted was to welcome a child into our lives and into our house." Dominique went to her doctor's visit with Schwab, where she met her surgical team and received a battery of tests, including an MRI, a CAT scan, x-rays, and a CT pyelogram, which allowed specialists to create a 3D model of her atypical anatomy. Her pelvis, bladder, legs, feet, and toes, as well as toenails and spine, which according to her physicians, were entangled with her own, were all borne by her twin. Regarding the 2 spines of the newborn, Dr. Rouge, the neurosurgeon, noted that it presented a problem in terms of disconnection. According to the findings, Dominique's parasitic twin's pelvis was linked to her spine, providing some structural stability to Dominique's spinal column. As a result, it was critical that we understood the structural integrity of her spine in order to avoid destabilizing her when we removed the parasitic twin. Dominique's medical team had been delving into her case for weeks, debating potential issues and solutions. They used the 3D model to practice performing the surgery. The following morning, on March 8th, Schwab transported the girl to Advocate Children's Hospital, where more than 50 surgeons, nurses, and clinicians awaited her arrival with open arms. According to Dr. Rouge, the greatest risk to Dominique was paralysis. Dominique's spinal cord could be paralyzed if any traction or pressure were applied to the legs of the parasitic twin, for the simple reason that the legs were functional from the parasitic twin and hence had nerve innervation from Dominique's spinal cord. Dominique's cervical spinal cord was completely exposed with no bone protection. Everything had been prepared to avert this situation. Dominique's parasitic twin was removed after the pelvis, nerves, and blood vessels were disconnected by the surgeons. They were left with a gaping hole, which they filled with soft tissue and muscle from the extra appendages. Dominique now appears to be a typical infant, with the exception of a lump on her neck, which doctors expect to subside over time as she grows. Her neurosurgeon noted that she still has some peculiarities on the inside. She has retained a fragment of a burnt bone that stabilizes her spinal column, and one of her kidneys is situated in the upper area of her chest. According to her neurosurgical report, Dominique is expected to lead a normal life. According to Dr. Rouge, everything is functioning normally. Dominique was discharged from Advocate Children's Hospital 5 days after her operation and placed in the care of her host mother, where she remained. She's basically back to her old self, Schwab explained. Schwab said she had been providing Dominique with her own sort of physical therapy, such as having Dominique turn her head from side to side and placing objects out of Dominique's reach so that she has to reach for them herself. If you met her right now, you'd have no idea she'd had such complicated surgery, Schwab explained. In accordance with a statement from Advocate Children's Hospital, Dominique's father is a primary school teacher, and her mother is a stay-at-home mom who cares for Dominique and her 3 older sisters. Her family was unable to accompany her due to financial constraints, but they are receiving regular updates. The statement said Dominique will be brought back home in a few weeks, and her family will be waiting for her at the airport in Avignon, the country's largest city. Marie-Christine Schwab, Dominique's host mother, expressed her admiration and regard for the young child's family. In spite of their daughter's difficulties, they were not willing to give up on her, and they sought this care for her. It was heartwarming to hear their love story, she added. They were willing to put their faith in escorts who brought her here, doctors they'd never met, and a host family they'd never met before. She has a great deal of confidence in the entire network. According to Schwab, Dominique brought the community together during her time in Chicago. Friends and neighbors generously donated diapers, wipes, and formula, while the pack and play where she sleeps and the car seat she uses were both borrowed. Her neighbors even purchased bottles for her at the supermarket. In a way, we're living in a stormy world, and she's helped to bring a ray of sunshine into our neighborhood and our family, Schwab remarked. The Schwabs noted that Dominique learned to say simple English words like da-da-da from them. They celebrated her first experience with snow, the emergence of her first 2 teeth, and the growth of her first 2 toes. She'll always be a part of our family, Schwab said. Even though we've never met her parents, I feel we've established a strong bond through the trust formed between strangers in a foreign country. It's been truly remarkable to witness how this entire network has come together, from the doctors to our small corner of the world. Dr. John Rouge, the pediatric neurosurgeon who led Dominique's surgery, expressed in a press release, "It's wonderful to see Dominique back at home with her family, the perfect conclusion to her journey to the United States. Her new life in the Ivory Coast is off to a fantastic start because of this. I am extremely proud of our surgical team and the positive impact we've had on Dominique's health and well-being. This is the driving force behind everything we do." I hope you like this story. Please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. Also subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.